Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Enrique Palomino Hidalgo, and this is The Mind of a Man, Decoding Man. And tonight's talk is our second week talking about the love languages. I want to welcome every single one of y'all to tonight's talk. And I hope everyone is enjoying tonight's evening. I don't know about y'all, but I'm actually listening right now to the rain, and it's such a calm and peaceful sound to really enjoy that I wouldn't ask anything other than just what I'm listening to. But again, welcome to the Mind of a Man, Decoding Man. Our talk series for the next couple of weeks is going to be about the love languages. And if you see me, let me just kind of disclaim right now, if you see me kind of looking this way and this way, is because tonight I am trying something different. I actually have a secondary camera that is going to be, that is actually live feeding into Instagram now. So now I am actually hosting a double live, one through the Facebook platform and another one through Instagram. So we're getting, I'm slowly making strides, and definitely I'm going to continue getting better at this, and I'm going to continue bringing you more better content. And I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be able to come and bring this every Wednesday night, and for all of y'all to tune in and actually giving me all your feedback. I appreciate that, and it just continues to bring me more encouragement to continue working harder and harder to bring better content and better quality for you all. So again, The Mind of a Man, Decoding Man. If this is your first time being here, let me welcome you. I sincerely hope that you enjoy these talk series that I've been bringing for well over 2 months already, and all I can do is just thank God, because He is the one that's given me the mentality, the wisdom, the ability to be able to come open and be clear and be honest with you all on sharing these experiences with you all. I know a few of y'all have asked for me to bring a little bit more insight on why I decided to do The Mind of a Man. And I promise you all, I will do that at a later time. I think tonight is going to be more, right now I want to get over the love language talk series. And then after that, I'll bring a very candid, open talk. It'd probably be a one-night thing where I bring a little bit more insight of why I do this and what kind of really gave me the idea of actually bringing this to life, but just to kind of give you a brief summary, brief synopsis about why the Mind of the Man came to about is just basically a need. I need a need from a lot of my female friends that I've heard questions about the idea of not understanding us men more on a deeper level. And I just took it upon myself because, one, I am a man. Two, I've gone through many experiences throughout my young adult to now my almost 40 years of age. In the next couple of months, as a matter of fact, in about 5 months, I will be turning the big 40. I will be entering into that specific phase in my life now. So, but anyways, I'm not going to bore y'all with all these details now. I want to just kind of give you a little brief insight if this is, again, your first time being part of The Mind of a Man. It's just an idea to supply a need to those that are seeking more insight on how to understand man. So, last week, as a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I started a series based on Gary Chapman's 5 love languages. And I thought it was a very interesting topic because there's a miscommunication that is not really something that relationships don't really talk about. We talk about how do we understand our significant partners, our significant others, whether it's our husband, whether it's our wife, whether it's our girlfriend, whether it's somebody that we actually are dating. When we say we hear you, when we say I understand you, do we really understand them? Do we really hear them? Do we understand the language that they're actually projecting, and they're screaming in words that, for us to understand, to, as Mr. Chapman says, to fill that love tank that they're so desiring to fill. With the years of experience, the years of my experiences that I've gone through, and again, I will bring my testimony further down the road. But I will tell you, I went through I've had my share of relationships, not as many as a lot of people may think, but just enough to understand now at my 39 years of age that there's a specific way of understanding individuals' languages, how to speak love to an individual, and really filling in that love tank and be able to have them understand and feel that you are actually speaking their language, so that they can actually engage and really understand that, have that feel that you're understanding them and they're understanding you. The 5 love languages. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. If you're single or if you're in a relationship, I highly recommend that you read that book. I'm not getting anything out of that book. But it is it's a game changer. If you're in a relationship and you really truly want to understand your significant other, I highly, highly recommend that book. Not only that, but there's a quiz to understand your love languages. If you yourself don't understand which love language you're in, which is your primary, which is your secondary, I highly recommend that you take the love language quiz. And as a matter of fact, after the live is over, I will put the link to the quiz that you can either take it by yourself or you can actually take it as a couple and really break down that communication barrier and actually understand each other's love languages. Last week I spoke about words of affirmation. The 5 love languages that Dr. Chapman actually speaks about is word of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and word of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. Last week I spoke about words of affirmation. This week we're going to talk about acts of service. Acts of service. Earlier today I put on my my initial comment, just as a reminder about tonight's talk, the proverbial words, actions speak louder than words. How many of you all ladies, or even you guys, fellas, have y'all ever heard? I know I've heard it countless of times. Actions speak louder than words. And be honest with you, yes, I do agree that actions do speak louder than words. But what if your love language doesn't really connect to an action versus a word? What if I said it last week, we operate on 5 languages, but we typically operate on a primary and a secondary rather than the other 3. I said it myself. My strong love language is word of affirmation. Second after that, it's going to be, as a matter of fact, I actually retook the quiz earlier today just to reaffirm my love languages. And for me, once again, my primary language is words of affirmation. My second my second love language is quality time, and then and then so on, and then so again, this is the reason why taking this quiz is so vital, so important for you all, so that you can truly understand yourself, your love language. We can say that we understand our love language, but do we really understand our love language? Do we understand how to project that to our significant other? And do our significant other know what actually you mean when you say your love language? Because love language is not all about being on a physical level, but it's also on an emotional, on a mental, on a spiritual. There's different ways of tackling this information. But anyways, so I'm not going to continue rambling on this information, but I will let you know that we're going to continue talking about this as the weeks continue going. But tonight's talk is going to be acts of service. And like I said, and again, let me get back into the topic of tonight's talk. Tonight, I personally, as a personal testimony, I've heard it countless of times. I've heard the proverbial, again, actions speak louder than words. And it's true. I'm not going to, I won't negate, I won't dismiss that term has been used. I think it's used all across the board, not only in relationships, but people can actually use it with family, with work, with friendships. I think that term to a lot of people speaks, but remember, just because you speak it doesn't necessarily mean that it actually translates into an understanding point to the receiving end. A lot of people may not receive the word, that not respond well to actions, but for them, their actions are their word. I, for one, have always been known to be a person of my word. I've always been known that for me, my word means everything. Me promising something means everything. Of course, as the years have passed, I've actually hold on to that specific ideology a lot more now than I did before. I'm not going to say that in the past I have not broken a promise. Yes, I have. Yes, I've said something and I may have gone back on my word. But it just comes with that. It just comes with the territory. It comes with the situations and the seasons that you're currently experiencing in that specific moment. So, ladies, fellas, understand that acts of service, the actions doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to speak louder than words. It all depends on the individual's language. How are they receiving that specific point? So, what do I mean? What do I mean about acts of service? Speaking of acts of service means that in a relationship platform, your partner feels loved when you take some sort of an effort to do nice things for them to make them feel happy. It can be the smallest gesture. It could be doing chores around the house, buying the groceries, taking out the trash, which I know a lot of my fellas that are married that's probably one of the major things that your wife will ask you to do a lot. But I think now if you have kids, you kind of pass that on to the kids for them to actually do it. So I personally can't do that. My daughters are still too little and they don't live with me 24/7. So, but I'm kind of speaking towards my fellas that are either they're married, or if you're in a long-standing relationship where you visit your girlfriend quite often, you stay the night. What do you do as an act of gesture towards her? And I'm not only talking about, and again, I'm not talking about words. I'm talking about acts. I'm actually actual, physical, tangible acts. Wash the dishes, do the laundry, take out the trash, go to the dry cleaners, take her car take her car and go get her oil change, check her tires, do pump gas in the car. I know a lot of ladies that is one of the biggest things that they would love for their significant other, to go and do that for them. And I know a lot of y'all are not going to let me lie because I know that for a fact because I lived it in flesh. So but it's also, again, it's how you're going to project that specific language towards your significant other, and make sure that that's actually again, and as a disclaimer, just because you do an active gesture does not necessarily mean it's going to translate to her or his primary language. That's why it's very important to understand it, and I in hopes that through these several weeks I can break this down to a point to where you can identify by either by body language, by words, by her or him actually telling you direct and to the point. But if you're able to understand it, study it, and actually apply it, believe me, it will make a whole lot of difference. So, Dr. Chapman says, anything you do to ease the burden of responsibility will satisfy this type of partner. This is one of the most crucial aspects of these 5 love languages. Again, acts of service, very crucial point. This is one of those points that literally will speak thousands, a lot more than a certain word. So, all right, fellas, so let me know what kind of acts of service you actually do for your significant other. Ladies, what kind of acts of service do you do for your husband, for your boyfriend, for I'm not even going to touch on the guys that you're dating, because at this moment, I think that role should be the opposite. The guy should be the one that's stepping up to the role, to where we're actually should be doing the acts of service towards to our ladies in waiting. If a guy, let me put this in this way, fellas, if you're courting, and I'm using a word that probably hasn't been used in so long, a lot of people may ask, what do I mean about courting? When you're getting to know somebody, when you're getting to know a lady, when you're actually getting to know her, finding out more about her, actually doing the legwork and trying to, and planning with her, not playing with her, what acts of service do you do? Things that you see that she may need help, but she doesn't necessarily ask you for it, but you can actually hear, and it may be a subtle, just a subtle response or sigh, or it could go different ways. I know for sure in my past, I would hear the need. And that actually spoke to me to understand this is a need that needs to be supplied. So fellas, how are you supplying the need and I'm talking to the fellas that are actually now and kind of in the process of getting to know somebody that you're actually dating. Fellas, how are you supplying that need to your lady? Even now, and also now, let me actually also speak to my fellas that are married, or you're already in a long-standing relationship. How are you supplying the need to your significant other? Are you really listening and then acting on it? Or are you just listening and just agreeing and saying, I understand? Are you really applying it and executing it and understanding that it's actually something that she is going to I really appreciate, because it's speaking to her love language and you're filling in her love tank. So always just keep that in mind. So, all right. So let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and pick up some speed on this, because there's quite a bit of information tonight on this topic, and I really do not want to leave I don't want to leave any stone unturned without really having you understand these type of love languages. So understand this, that Dr. Chapman also says that learning to love in the way someone wants to be loved is far more the definition of love than just loving in any way. In order to understand your partner's love language, it's vital, because it's not only going to help you create a more long and lasting and satisfying relationship, but it's also going to help you express your love more expressively, and more effectively. You got to understand it. Let's see. And as the week continues going by, I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit more on how to really understand this, your love languages. Possibly after you actually do the quiz and get an idea what your primary and secondary languages are, and how to really discern them and actually break them down to be able to apply more effectively to your life, and explaining them a lot better to your significant other. So there's a high belief that as individuals we're unable to know what our individual love language is in certain relations, in whatever relationship you're currently in. We try to communicate love by default, and this is what I'm talking about. That love doesn't necessarily express itself in a physical manner, or just by expressing it in words, or by in this case also actions. You really have to understand and really dig down and figure out what it is, what it's going to be the most effective way to speak love to your significant other. You can't go into a certain topic if you don't really know how to understand it. For instance, if you fellas, you can't go and speak football to someone that you can't join a conversation if you don't understand the topic of it. You really have to understand this and learn it and educate yourself in it. It's the same thing in love language. You got to educate yourself. You got to educate yourself in understanding your significant other's love language in order for it to actually make sense, and really not only go like this or just shake your head. You really have to understand and really receive your significant other's love language. So you got to make it meaningful. You really do. Every act of service has to be a meaningful act. Why do I say this? Because not only is this going to, again, continue filling in your significant other's love tank, it's going to continue giving you that sense of satisfaction to finally understand your significant other in ways that you have not understood in however long you've been in that relationship. You're really going to really learn how to value your partner, and really go out of your way without complaining about it, and really and understand that by doing that, you're not only going to make her or his life a lot easier, it's going to give you a satisfaction of value that is going to, and it's also going to speak to your love language. Because at the beginning of the series, I told you all that love languages interconnect with each other. When you're speaking, like for instance, a word of affirmation, someone is really going to speak to you in a certain way of knowing that your significant other is going to show you some sort of way to reaffirm your way of speaking, the correct love language in that moment. Because again, you cannot just say something in the moment. Maybe your significant other does not respond to words of affirmation in the moment where he or she needs acts of touch, or quality time, or an act of service. So you really got to understand this primarily in order to really make it effective. So it's the little things. Really, it's the little things. Like, I gave you some examples right now. If your significant other's sick, an act of service is just to tend to her needs, tend to his needs, without not complaining, but really putting it out there that it's a hassle. And I'm sure that it's not. For instance, acts of service for me, even though an act of service for me is not a high act of service for me is not really a high deal for my love language, but for me, in the mornings, getting coffee was an amazing. For me, it was because a lot of people know that I love coffee. Obviously, if you've been watching. Here, if you've been watching Mind of a Man, or if you watch Friday night's Noche de Poesía, you always see that I have coffee. I brew my coffee. I do my coffee. It's just something that for me, it's an act of service. For me, it's okay because I do it. But when somebody else does it, it really speaks in that platform of love language. As an act of service. But it's just the little things that really speak highly. The little things that are really going to speak highly to those that really are in search of that act of service. This love language really is for people who believe that actions do speak louder than words. Like I said at the beginning of the talk, unlike those who prefer to hear how much they are cared for. People on this list, they tend to be more appreciated. They, doing the smaller and bigger things, makes their life, like I said, a lot more easier, comfortable, and they highly cherish it. So, really understand that. So, I have a couple of things that I want to share with you all, and let's see. All right, so let's talk a little bit more. Let's drill it down a little bit more. An acts of service. Think about a few things. Let me ask the ladies. Let me ask married ladies. Think about a moment in your relationship where you've actually did an act of service for your husband that amazed them so much that actually he was loss of word. He had a loss of words. I don't know. Maybe you took his clothes to the dry cleaners. I don't know. I mean, you could probably answer that question a lot better than I can. I mean, it's for us, man. Even the smallest things, just making us breakfast. I know it's in our culture, in our Hispanic, Latino, Mexicano culture, that a lot of ladies that have been married for many years, or not that many, but it's and their husbands tend to be people that work like either manual labor or all that. They tend to wake up. I know my mom used to get up at 4:30 in the morning to make my dad his breakfast, his lunch. And I tell you what, because I was still, I was around during those times, I could see my dad felt so appreciated. He appreciated my mom actually getting up that early to give him that, give my dad that act of service. So, what are some act of services that you ladies have done for your husbands, fellas? What kind of acts of service have you done for your significant other? For your wife, for your girlfriend, whatever title you have given her, what kind of act of service have you done? Do you get up early in the morning to make her coffee? Do you get up in the morning to wash the dishes? Do you get up in the morning just to get the kids ready to go to school? What kind of acts of service do you I don't know, make her breakfast, take breakfast to her in bed? What is it that you do to be able to respond to that? And I'm talking about to the ladies and to the fellas, that act of service is your primary love language. If it's not your primary love language, this is, this is not going to be for you. But if it's something that, if it's your secondary, at least you understand, that what it tends to be when I'm talking about acts of service. Or if it's your third, fourth, or even your fifth love language, it's still good to understand it, because at the end of the day, if you're going to, let's say for a guy or for a lady that is in the process of actually meeting someone new, that you're actually getting to know somebody, and you tend to run to someone that it's their primary language is acts of service, you have the education, you have the tools to understand how to speak to that language far better than just going by the seat of your pants, by the seam of your pants, or however you want to call it. But this is just this act of service is really, it's just something to have to be able to just elevate them to another level, to have them be more encouraged, to be able to show you even more love than rather just not. But I'm gonna give you some recommendations that you ladies or you fellas can actually apply to your relationship through acts of service. And again, this is going to be for those that are actually have an act of service as your primary language. So let's go with the first one that's gonna be pretty cut and dry. Fellas, this is actually going to be more towards the fellas than it is to the ladies, because this is actually, ladies, I think this is one of the things that you probably scream within your insides to, that you wish your significant other. And I may be wrong. Maybe this is not, that's not the case for you, but it's something that's that I know it translates a lot, through down the road, maybe for a lot of ladies in their relationship. Is help out with the chores, guys. Help out with the chores. Again, the smallest thing that you can do, trust me, it speaks high volumes. Again, take out the trash, do the laundry. If you don't take your clothes to the cleaners, learn how to iron, your shirt, your pants. I'm not saying that you need to learn how to help out around the house. Brief example. And again, I'm doing this because I lived it, I understand it, and I've always been a very independent type of guy. I've always been very independent about my way of having my household. Whether I've been in the singles stage or whether I've been in a relationship phase, I've always understood that I have to help out. Since little, my parents instilled that in me, that there's no maids, there's no butlers unless you're super rich. Then even at that, but it's something I even instill into my daughters, that chores are vital. They're essential. For me, helping around the house. Again, for me here at home, because I'm single, that I'm the only one here, I obviously, like I said, I keep my house clean. I do my chores. I wash my dishes. I do my laundry. Take my clothes to the cleaners. I sweep. I mop. I know how to iron my own clothes. I know how to cook. So I'm good on all those departments. Now, when I was in a relationship, there was always a point where there was a little bit of an argument, because I always wanted to help around the house, and my ex in that in the moment, she wouldn't allow me to. So there was times where I had to wash. For instance, I had to wash the dishes. I had to hide when I was washing the dishes because she wouldn't allow me to. Why? Because it's not that I was talking to her. I was doing something as an act of service that I actually spoke to her because she needed the help. The only thing is, she had a particular way of washing the dishes, which her and I didn't really see eye to eye on that aspect. But for me, it was, As long as I do the deed and actually do the act of service because I know I see the need and I actually understand that she needs the help, then as long as it gets done, it gets done. But I had to understand that in order for me to learn her love language, I had to really understand that for her, it was, I had to do it the way she wanted it to be done, not the way I wanted it to be done. So the way I did it, listened to her need, acted on that service, spoke a lot better, a lot more than me doing it just because I wanted to do it, just because I wanted to get it over with. So that was one thing. That's an example that, again, I'm just bringing to your attention so that you understand that just because you want to do it doesn't necessarily mean that's all that's going to translate. Yeah, maybe she'll appreciate it, but believe me, guys, that it's going to get more it's going to be more valued if you do it the way they want it to be done, because they obviously have a certain way of how they want it. It actually will speak tons. There may be some ladies that probably will have the same mentality and they just don't care. As long as it gets done, it gets done. So you just got to really understand how you're going to approach the situation. So help out with the chores. Look for opportunities to serve him, serve her. And again, I'm talking to both sides of the coin here, to you fellas and to ladies. Find ways to help, serve them. Come up with some ideas to, that you're paying attention very carefully to their needs. Maybe, for instance, if you go to church and ladies, he forgets, to get a church bulletin, why don't you just get that for him as an act of service? If you know he always needs one, get it. There's fellas, if you know she is going to need her Bible to go to church, why don't you already have it ready to go, have it in your hand, and just let her know, hey, I already have your Bible, let's go ahead and go. There's always going to be those little things that you're going to be one step ahead of time, one step ahead, that's going to help out. So the Bible idea is one, ladies. I know, fellas, if we really pay attention to what our ladies are like, whether they like to wear some sort of cologne, some sort of perfume, some sort of lipstick, something that we can actually do to help them out, to save them time, go ahead and do it. Pay attention. What kind of perfume do they like? What type of lipstick do they wear? Do they want to have tea in the morning? I don't know, something that is going to help them be one step ahead. So, and trust me, she'll find that very sweet and very thoughtful, and it's going to make your life a lot easier, fellas, because happy wife, happy girlfriend, happy life. And I know you're not going to, and I know you're probably going to agree with me. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Pamper. That's another thing as an act of service. Pamper him, pamper her. Fellas, if you can get your lady pamper her at the spa. Send her to a spa. Allow her to go get her mani, her pedi, her massage, a facial, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just something that you're going to show her how to pamper herself. If she doesn't like none of that, well, let her one day just, you take care of everything. You take care of the kids. You take care of the household chores. You cook. Lead by example. Take the initiative to pamper her. Ladies, if you know that your husband needs to be pampered, sometimes for us, man, just a good back rub is just going to do wonders for us. It's going to speak so much and it will fill our love tank like that. It is just, for me, for instance, I've been a professional wrestler. As a matter of fact, this week it's actually going to be As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm going to be in this industry for 19 years already. So my body is not the same as I was back in my 20s when I first started. So now, back then, for me, a back rub was amazing. When my ex gave me a back rub, it was amazing. Why? Because my body needed it. I felt pampered by that. So, fellas, I know we all have our different ways of getting pampered, and make sure you tell your wife, tell your girlfriend, this is how I like to be pampered. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. Nowadays, a lot of men nowadays, they think that by being in touch with their emotions or their feminine side, it makes them less of a man. Man, come on now. Stop all of that. You got to be open to your significant other, because if you're not open to your significant other, who else is going to understand you, how to take care of you? Fellas, understand that. Ladies, also same thing. Talk to your man. Again, this is the way the communication on the act of service really works. So, again, pamper her. Again, take the car, go get her, fill up her gas tank, check her oil, do something where she doesn't have to lift a finger. If you do those kind of acts of service, it will speak volumes. All right, let's go ahead and move on to another one. Offer help to your sweetheart, for her or he, when they're feeling insecure. I think this is one of the biggest things that nowadays, just as a physical touch, person needs a hug when he or she is down, or a word of affirmation. We need that in order for us to, feel ourselves be picked up. People that have act of service as a primary language need their sweethearts to serve them. And I'm not talking about serve them by hand and foot and be like, yes, sir, no, ma'am, those kind of things. I'm talking about more about, for instance, if your wife or your girlfriend has something really big, maybe at work, that she is feeling overwhelmed, and you can see that, help her out. If she has a presentation, help her out. Ask her, do you need help with whatever, arranging her files, putting things together? Show that you care, show that you're concerned, and that you're reaffirming her that you are there, even through her insecurities. Reaffirm that by an act of action. Do something to reaffirm that. So, if you see her, maybe bring her just a cup of tea. If she likes tea, she likes water, she likes something to calm her down, do that. Again, fill up the gas tank. That helps a lot more than anything else. Congratulate her, celebrate her, do something that's going to ease down her insecurities. That is one thing that I definitely will encourage you to do. It works. It really does work. You're gonna get so much value out of it, not only from her, but from yourself. It's going to help you out more than anything else. I promise you that. Overall, let your acts of service speak from the heart. Speak from the heart. Make sure that your acts of service become habits. Become habit, because if they become habit, you're going to start subconsciously. You're going to start doing them like that. Why? Because it starts speaking to her love language, and you're connected to her, and you're going to continue seeing her love tank be refilled every time that she needs that, act of service. So, last week I shared with you a couple of things that I know spiritually. I'm starting to kind of tie this into also a spiritual matter. With acts of service, there's two Bible verses that really, for me, they speak They spoke to my spirit, and I really wanted to share them with you. Fellas, ladies, Philippians 2:4 says, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others. Really, let that resonate. Let that really drill down into your spirit. Again, and it's in Philippians. If you want to go back and read it, it's Philippians 2:4. Not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others. There's also, let me also share another Bible verse with you. And again, this is just my way of tying things into a spiritual manner, because at the end of the day, if God is going to give you the wisdom, fellas, ladies, to be able to speak to your significant other and really understand those, the language that they're requiring in the moment. So, Romans 12:9 and Romans 12:9 and 10 says, love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Acts of service, really, that's all it is be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Serving, acts of service. Service is to put yourself aside and go above and beyond to serve. In this case, your significant other, your loved one, and if you're a parent, maybe you'll do it to your kids. If you're a single parent like I am, my acts of service, I speak to acts of service to my little girls, my daughters. Why? Because those are the only women in my life. Yeah, but at the not that it really make a difference right now, but really, really resonate on those two Bible verses. Romans 12:9 and 10. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Devoted to one another in love, and honor one another above yourselves. Put yourselves aside and go above and beyond. Serve your significant other, your wife, your girlfriend. If you're in a long-standing relationship, also, fellas, if you're in between girls, do not apply this. Does not work. God is not going to honor you on this. Ladies, same thing. This is going to be, really just put these teachings, these tools into practice. Understand what is your primary and secondary love language. If your primary love language is an act of service, really apply this. Really resonate on this and apply it. I promise you, it will do that much more of a difference, especially when you speak to your husband, to your boyfriend, to your significant other, that is your primary love language, and explain to them what really works for you when they speak to you in that love language, how much more you're going to feel loved by them, and vice versa. Fellas, speak to your lady about that. It's going to make that much difference. So that is the conclusion for tonight's talk on the mind of a man, decoding man. This is going to be a 6-week series on the love languages. I know there's 5 love languages, but I have a 6th one that I'm going to speak to you all at the end of the series. And I hope tonight's talk was educational, inspirational, and it really resonated with your spirit, and it resonated with your heart and your mind. I really hope that whatever it is that I share with you all tonight, something it's going to be taken with y'all. And if you have any questions, please leave me your comments on after just leave me the comments. I personally will respond back to them. If you don't feel comfortable doing a comment, send me a direct message. I'll answer it. Understand and know that everything that I do it out of the heart, and I do it with the best intentions as possible to be able to help. I'm starting. As a matter of fact, before we go, just wanted to let you all know here on Facebook and also there on Instagram that as of last night, I launched my YouTube channel. So officially, I have a YouTube channel. I will put the link on the description here and on Instagram, so you all can go in. If you didn't get to watch one of the series through Facebook, now you can go on YouTube and actually watch it. So the YouTube channel is going to cover from The Mind of a Man, Noche de Poesía, life coach tips and tactics, and just anything that God really puts in my heart to share with you all. Not only am I going to share with you all first here through Facebook, Instagram, but it's going to be shared on YouTube. So your support, once again, it's highly appreciated. Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's now going to be on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, share, all those good things that not only is it going to help me, and it's going to encourage and affirm, for me to continue working hard for you all. I really am here just to help. I am here just to be able to serve and share everything that God has given me, to be able to somehow, some way, be able to be of service. I am happy to do so. Thank you all. I hope y'all have an amazing evening. I know it's already closer to 10 o'clock. Most of y'all probably are already in bed, going to bed, getting ready for work tomorrow. God bless y'all. Take care of each other, protect each other, love each other, pray for each other. And I hope, once again, The Mind of a Man, Decoding Man, is of service to you all. God bless y'all. Take care of each other. I'm praying for y'all. Love y'all. And I will see y'all next week, same time, 9 p.m. Central Time, with another The Mind of a Man, Decoding Man. Talk to y'all soon. God bless.